See, this is working out well for you. Everybody needs just a couple extra minutes today. Thanks, Jim. You say when, Mr. Olgiati?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready. Oh, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2015. Welcome to the Harrison Township Planning Commission meeting. I call the meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Roll call, please, Mr. Secretary.
Yes. Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. Bloom,
Present.
Mr. Basha,
Here.
Mr. Olgiati here, Chairperson Murray.
Present. Let it be known that Mr. McDougall and Mr. Tominello are excused absent this evening. Even though we're down 2 members, we still have a quorum and we can conduct business. May I have approval? Actually, I would like to make an amendment to our agenda this evening. One of the applicants for case number 1 is not present yet, but he is on his way. So what I would like to do is jump to comments from the planner, case number 2, first, before we take the public hearing, and that'll give the owner hopefully enough time to get here, if we talk really slow. Okay. All right, so with that being said, I would like a motion to approve the agenda as I had just mentioned, moving J before F.
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended. By
Thank
the
you.
Chairperson.
Thank
I'll
you.
support.
Thank you so much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have before us our minutes from our June 18th meeting. I hope you've all had a chance to review. I didn't see any changes. And if anyone has any changes, please make them known. Otherwise, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 18th, 2015, please?
So moved.
Mr. Olgiati?
Support.
Mr. Bacha, Mr. Olgiati. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, well, Mr. Secretary, would you please read the comments from the planner?
Absolutely. Case number 09-15 TCR, Kristen Haygood, Eddie's Drive-In, 3611 Jefferson, Harrison Township, Michigan, 48045, approval of dumpster enclosure.
Okay, we have been provided a letter from our planner. The applicant is replacing an existing wooden dumpster enclosure with a new 6-foot-high wooden dumpster enclosure. They expanded it to accommodate a grease receptacle. The material used is not generally allowed by our ordinance. We request black or better, black to match the building or better, unless we approve something different. The current location of the dumpster on Ballard is acceptable to the neighbors and preferred by the owner as it reduces the odor and allows the picnic tables to remain where they're currently located. The applicant has agreed to install bollards to protect the enclosure wall and to plant shrubs along the southwest corner of the property to help screen the enclosure. The applicant must obtain all necessary permits. Jonathan, do you want to speak to this item, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You pretty much hit it, what happened there with the review of the technical committee. Patrick did fill me on the issue. He was at the meeting. Him and Joe are both in favor of approval of this because it was an existing wooden enclosure, and at the time it's already been done, and at the time the applicant wasn't aware of the requirement, so they cleaned it up and made it look nice, and then came to light that it is
It's on
usually
ordinance.
brick or block,
Okay,
so
yeah.
that's why it's here in front of us now.
Okay, and so was there any major discussion regarding upgrading to brick or block?
The applicant, to my knowledge, the applicant came in as it was, and they sat down, and all things considered, the technical committee was
Approval of the way that it
approving
stands?
of the way that it is, yes.
Thank
What
you.
was the basis for that if it's not generally permitted by the ordinance? Why was it thought that it should be approved from the?
Because it was previously done as a wood enclosure, and it was already upgraded to a newer wooden enclosure. And it's, I don't think there's any, I don't want to say the word I'm looking for, but.
They're not trying to sneak anything by.
Right, exactly, exactly. So it was an existing condition, and all they did was improve it. So it was something that was pre-existing.
I think it was probably, excuse me, I think it was probably looked at as a repair and replace, because it wasn't a wood structure before, so they just basically, replaced it with another wood structure. I did drive by there, it does look very, very nice, and I had a chance to speak to Joe, and he had said that he had spoken to the applicant about putting some bullards and some shrubbery around that area to make it look more attractive, so he was in favor, speaking to him, with the project to go forward, as long as the necessary permits are pulled.
And exactly what permits are we talking about?
Building department permits.
I'm sorry?
Building department permits.
Okay.
Okay.
My only concern is that when you look at the pictures that we were supplied, which are great, by the way, thank you for supplying those. Clearly, we see that it was a wooden structure previously, and it does look very nice. The location is great. You know, it's away from the building, it's away from the residence, it's probably the best location on the lot. I do have one concern, however, and that is, it appears to be kind of structurally simple. I don't want to say unstable, but the wheels that are on the doors, it looks like it could become unstable and maybe unsightly over time. So my only concern is that if we approve this now, are we putting ourselves into a position where when it becomes unsightly over time, or if there's any damage structurally to the doors, are we again looking at another wooden structure replace and repair, or can we then enforce the ordinance and require brick or better, or block or better?
That is something that the commission has to consider. That's why it is ultimately your decision. That was some of the reasoning behind the bollards in there, is to protect from the swinging gate. But it is ultimately your decision.
Yeah, because it's clearly a larger receptacle now, or a larger enclosure now to accommodate that grease receptacle.
Trap,
Yeah, which is great. I think it's great that that's out of the way as well. Personally, I would like to see the ordinance upheld. My big concern is that I realize that it's an existing repair and replace. My concern is that if we let this go, are we opening ourselves up to future, well, you did it for them, are you gonna do it for us? And, it just seems to slippery slope, so to speak. Commission, comments?
I guess I have a question. If it were to be approved tonight, could it be conditioned upon satisfactory upkeeping? And if not, then placement to come into compliance with the ordinance?
I think if we could make that part of our motion then?
Yeah, as a
Alright.
condition.
Is the applicant present right now?
I'm sorry?
Is the applicant present? I
Is
don't
the
see him.
applicant present?
Are
Are
you?
you?
Can you come up for an answer question real quick? Can you just come up to the microphone, please? Thank you very much.
Yeah, let us know who you are.
That's okay, no problem. You can both speak loud. Okay. I just wanted to know, the previous structure, because I'm familiar with this property, I go by it 100 times a week, and I think it's an asset to the community. I definitely do. It's been there since, for probably close to 60 years, 65 years. I think with what they're trying to do with the downtown development along that area, that would be a really key. I think it's something that kind of adds flavor to Harrison Township. I remember they actually shot a Chevrolet commercial there years ago. It was pretty cool thing when Bruce and Debbie had it. Do you have any idea how long ago, the previous structure, how long that lasted approximately? How old was that?
Oh, yeah, I really don't know.
You don't know?
We just purchased the property last year.
Could you go ahead and move the microphone closer to you,
Sorry.
please? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we just purchased the property last year. The one picture I showed you was the existing picture, that was from 2012. What we noticed was not only was it becoming dilapidated, but we also wanted to hide that grease trap, because it's unsightly.
Unsightly, yeah.
And we intend to keep it up. We don't intend, in fact, the previous structure was painted the color of the building
Mm-hmm.
to match, so it matched. We hadn't painted it until we found out whether we could actually keep it. The paint's in the waiting to be put on.
So are you planning on painting it the same
Yes,
color as the
yes,
building?
we are planning on doing that. And then, actually, I've got a letter from the neighbor who lives right next door there, and he said that he has no objections of it being there. He said it's never been a problem, and he actually signed the letter. I just picked it up at 6:30 because he's been gone a lot,
Okay.
so.
Are you comfortable with, if we were to approve this evening as presented, with the caveat that, should it need replacement, that it then follow the ordinance and become, block to match the building, or some type of structure to match the building?
Absolutely, not a problem. And I was gonna mention, the wheels are on the gate for one reason. The old gate didn't have them, and then the gate was
They kinda,
falling.
yeah, the weight of the
This
gate, yeah.
Actually, it's bolted to the ground, and the wheels just stabilize the gate so it doesn't
Okay.
start coming apart
Okay,
again
got it.
quickly. And it was built by my son-in-law, who was a journeyman carpenter, so it was actually,
So it was built correctly?
properly,
Okay,
yes.
great, thank you.
One
Any
thing
other
about
questions?
those wheels too is it's a seasonal business, so they're not gonna be open in bad weather. I mean, it's gonna be closed in the wintertime, so I don't think you have to worry about dragging it through snow or ice or anything like that. I'm not really crazy about the wheels, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
They don't look super sturdy to me.
Yeah.
Because, looking at other enclosures around the area, nothing against your son-in-law or whoever did
Well, what would
did
you
the
suggest?
Did the enclosure. I don't really think it's up to us to make a suggestion, is it, in terms of what type of wheels you use, but.
Well,
I
just,
mean-
as long as it's, as long as it helps to maintain the stability of the structure. I mean, I get the use of the wheels for sure.
Right,
The doors are heavy, and that's gonna help maintain them, on their hinges and straight and so on. I personally would prefer to see us go the route of enforcing the ordinance and require the brick or block or better. But, I will defer to the rest of the commission. Any other questions for the applicant? Comments for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, motion?
Just a quick question. It might have been to the applicant, but I'll ask it to Jonathan, and you might be able to clarify. In our packet, the last page has got a proposal to do it in block. I'm intrigued why that was part of our documents.
I'm not aware of,
The only one that has it?
I haven't, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
I looked at it myself. I was kind of wondering the same thing, as a matter of fact.
Sabrina?
There's,
I just wasn't sure of the relevance of giving that to us.
That was turned in because in case they had to go to block, and maybe she could answer better than I can, the proposal that's in the back.
In case we didn't have to go to block, that was the proposal, we got to do it, and just approve on.
Very well.
Because 2 pages earlier, it refers to block as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Right.
It was a just in case type quote.
got it. Okay, Mr. Sensak?
Jim Senstock,
Even though we don't have a motion on the table,
yeah, well, whatever way you want to do it, Madam Chair.
thank you, kind sir.
This particular ordinance that you're referring to is a part of the zoning ordinance, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So
Well,
it-
yes, it is, yes.
And in the zoning ordinance, if they want to do something different than the ordinance, my understanding is they're going to have to go to the ZBA.
Well, that was a thought, yes.
Yes.
I actually was going to be bringing that up
And
next.
before you guys
Unless
approve
we
it,
approve it, unless we approve it the way that we see it.
well, and I
'Cause we
guess
do have that right.
I'm wondering how you can sidestep the zoning board of appeals on a zoning ordinance if you're not following the ordinance. Does it specifically say that in that ordinance right
You know
there?
what?
I don't believe it
Let
does.
me see if I can find that again. I'm using my not familiar version of the ordinance. I like my old-fashioned book instead. Yeah, that's the
And I
one that's
believe
not
you
approved
hit
yet.
it when you said you don't want to start setting a precedent.
Exactly.
And I believe, if they want to vary to the ordinance, they have to go to the zoning board of appeals. That's my understanding of your
Yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'd
and
actually
having
thought of
sat
that
on the
earlier.
ZBA, I'm
Yeah.
pretty familiar with that.
Yeah, you
So-
are.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
William Bardell, quick comment. Take a look at all the other dumpsters. Take a look at Luigi's dumpster. It's a finished brick. Take a look at the Jefferson Street Pub. I believe that place may be tied into that. They put up a new dumpster. It's a finished brick with a cap. Now, there's a reason why we have these ordinances. That dumpster enclosure is about the cheapest thing I've ever seen in my life. Terrible. I don't care if you put arborvitaes around it, it's terrible. Put a finished brick on there and do it the right way. Look at Luigi's dumpster. Look at Jefferson Street Pub's dumpster. Take notes. You're in business, that's what you do. This is garbage.
Thank
Don't
you.
approve this, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bardell. Mr. Betcha, anything else?
No, but then I will
Thank you.
go to advice of Jonathan or Rosemary to clarify the comment that can we move on this if it does violate the ordinance?
It is stated in the zoning ordinance that that is the requirement for block or brick or a material deemed suitable by the planning commission for the site.
So the last sentence becomes the opportunity or ability for us to move if we so choose.
And being it a repair and replace, as you stated,
An
gives the planning
existing,
commission the right to.
What section are we looking at
yeah,
for that
that's,
authority?
you know what, I thought it was section 5, under the environmental, screening requirements. Unless, Jonathan, you happen to know exactly.
I'm trying to find it right now. Give me 1 second here.
Similar decorative building materials acceptable. Or
I can't wait to get our new book. I was gonna bring the new one and use it tonight, but it's not approved, so I didn't feel comfortable with that one.
I think it's under here. It's the condition that would be first of the site plan to comply. And then delegate.
Did they have any issues with the old fence? Did they have any complaint from the ordinance
I
officer
don't
on the
believe,
old fence?
no, I don't believe so. I think that would have been brought up on the
That's the
technical
general
committee
thing.
review.
It's not meeting the standards of the zoning.
Yeah.
The fact that it was always that way for many, many years, and, I mean,
I
And
would
now
think
it's
it would
improved
to be
of the same material. What's the-
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
no,
don't-
but
I don't know, maybe
but I think
after we
I think the
have
planning
the
commission and
section
the
that he's
township has set a standard by allowing for, a repair and what did you call it, a repair?
Replacing.
Repair of existing conditions, right, and if it's been that way for,
Unless there's something.
who knows, I mean, I've
he
lived here 20
knows
years and
to
it's been,
repair and replace, which I do not know.
I'm not saying that I'm in agreement with that, because I would prefer to see the brick or better, I really would, or the brick or block or whatever.
If it was, if it had gone from
I think,
brick to wood.
I personally
Hold
think
on,
you should
hold
table it because I agree with, Mr. Senstock. If it's a complete change to the requirements of the zoning ordinance, it should be a variance. However, I'm not aware, maybe Patrick is aware of a section where I was caught up on, like it was a repair and replace. So if there's some technical rule that we have that I'm not aware of, that's the only thing
We would be wise to
you would
table
be-
it to give us
you
an
know, it does,
opportunity to
you know, under
review.
section 702 of the site plan review requirements,
Right.
it specifically says the planning commission can delegate authority to the technical committee, and then they can make a recommendation, and you can either approve or not approve. So if there's something in that, like, line of procedure with regard to repair and replace, then you would, but otherwise it would be a variance.
Okay. And so, or we deny and require the brick automatically.
True, or
That
you
is
could
an
just
option as
adjourn
well.
it and then make that, you know, find out for sure, and then the plant,
Right.
you know, come back at the next meeting and either go with the wood or the concrete,
Okay.
depending on
Why would Joe
if
and,
there's some
why would Joe and Patrick?
nuance that we're
okay
not
it?
aware of.
Why would they already okay it?
Because I believe that they believe that it's a repair and
Right,
replace.
that's
yeah.
what you're screening the
Yeah.
Why
dumpster with.
would,
Well,
that's
we,
referring
and that's
to
why we've got the technical committee,
Year
and
seven,
that
which
was
is
one
what
of the
you're
reasons that we
reading.
put the
Right.
technical committee in
So,
place, was
kind
to
of
allow
like
for conditions like this, where a change was being made to an existing structure that may have been that way for, 100 years.
And they're giving us the
it-
authority to
right.
let's move on with this and
It
be done
does,
with it.
it really does, yeah. So, okay, so, considering Rosemary's recommendation, we have three options. We deny it altogether, we table it to allow council to review documentation and allow the applicant to seek a variance from the zoning board of appeals, or we deny requesting a following of the ordinance, period.
Clarification to that. I heard Rosemary propose two scenarios. One was sending to ZBA for a variance, because it does, the current zoning ordinance does not allow this product, so we get that. The other one, which is the one I was gonna still ask, you said, you made some reference to postpone to allow further research, is somehow I heard it.
I was unclear as to if this was just, I don't know if the building official and the planner thought that this was something where, like say it was just a repair and replace, where the entire thing was not torn down and rebuilt differently. If it was just a replacing, then they might have considered that, well, it's an existing structure, can you just, waive the requirements? It's not like they came with a new site plan and intended to build something that you would then have to comply with the zoning ordinance. I didn't know, I don't have that information, I don't know if that is the case here. So that's why I suggested tabling, because if that's the case, then you might be able to approve it. If not, the applicant would have to make the decision, do I either wanna go to the ZBA or just present you the option B concrete wall for approval?
So,
They're
so
not
for your
here.
scenario two, it would have been postponed to allow the technical committee to clarify what their intent was,
Yes,
so that we could then better understand what they were thinking?
right.
And maybe get a legal opinion
I don't think he-
Based on a further
based
review
on
on
the
702 and
authority to
in the ordinance.
approve it as
Yeah.
proposed.
Any other questions? Comments?
I
Motion.
go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I'm just wanted to ask the applicant on the timing is, any postponement will bring in delays. Are there any urgency to the timing of this?
Ask that question?
Would do.
Can you come up?
Yes. And, if it was tabled, it would cause some delay. What, if any, hardship would that cause?
For us, that would cause no hardship.
It's already up.
It's already there.
Right.
It's already being used.
It's already up, it's being used. It does improve the appearance over what it was before. I'm a little confused of this, to the ordinance, because it says that you should, make your structure to appear yet the same as the building, and yet it says you, somewhere in there, I think I read that you can't paint it. The building is cinder block and it's painted. So I don't know how we're gonna make it appear like the building.
You said you read someplace where it says you
Somewhere
couldn't
in-
paint it?
Yeah, your code is very long, and I think there's a new code in, if you look online, there's a new code being proposed, and then there's a code now.
Speak to it.
It's just a little confusing to me as to actually what the active code is.
Section
Although it
six.
is a
Okay, so we have an option to table for further review.
compatible, so does that have to be exact?
Push to ZBA for their opinion. Require, ordinance follow today. Which basically requires us to deny the request.
Can I
Since-
just
Making
make
a
a comment real
motion to
fast?
deny it right now?
Yeah, if we wanted to say today that we want it to follow the ordinance,
Well, and like I said, under section
702.
back up. 5, just for environmental provisions.
the
which in-
environmental part, right.
Which requires screening. It does say the planning commission has the authority to modify the requirements when justified by the nature or intensity of the proposed development or the characteristics of the site. So I really think it should just be tabled just to get more information from the planner and the builder to determine what their intent was. If it's not a ZBA, I wouldn't deny it at this point. I would just, the applicant doesn't have a problem with adjourning it. I would just adjourn it so that we
Okay.
can get clarification, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
And we
Alright.
we can even notify the applicant too ahead of time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I guess where I'm at, I'm not convinced this, that a variance is required. Just send it up to the ZBA, particularly if it's a replace and repair. And I would not, under these circumstances, be comfortable with denying it.
Right.
I think we should either decide to deal with the merits of it tonight or to table for further review and analysis. And
Okay.
I'm inclined to do that.
I'm-
I guess I would move to table case 0915 TCR for further review and opinion from the technical committee.
Okay, we have a motion to table case 0915 technical committee review for further review and opinion from the technical committee. May I have a second, please?
Support?
Support Mr. Olgiati?
Yes.
Batcha.
Ms. Batcha, Ms.
Mr.
Batcha.
Batcha.
May I just make a comment real fast?
Discussion on the motion.
When I first looked at the whole project and spoke to some people, I didn't have, I thought it was okay the way it was. I looked at it as a repair and replace. As I look at it now with the ordinances and some of the comments from the audience, I think the best thing for you is to probably table this like we just made the motion and give us a little bit more time. I think that Joe, the building department's willing to work with you. They seem to be receptive to it when I had spoken to them about the project. So I don't think you're gonna have a major issue. Right now, you do have screening around your dumpster right now. Worst case scenario, if you absolutely have to tear it down and put brick and block, it'll enhance the whole building for the future. So I wouldn't really look at it as being a major detriment or a major setback. I think that the more we can make things uniform, especially along Jefferson Avenue like that, I think the better off it is for all the businesses from an ordinance standpoint. Although I understand exactly what you're trying to do when you're trying to repair and replace and make it a little bit nicer because the other one did look rickety. But I just think that's just enables us to take a step back and talk to some more people and make sure that we're going in the right direction.
Okay. That sounds fair.
Okay, so I have a motion to table and a second. Roll call, please, Mr. Olgiati.
Yes. On case number 0915 TCR, motion to table.
Yes.
Member Garvin?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Member Bloom, I apologize.
Yeah.
Member Basha?
Yes.
Member Garvin?
Yes.
Member Olgiati, yes. Chairperson Murray?
Yes. Okay. So you're gonna table until we have an opportunity to review, and someone from the building department will contact you. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move up to our, I believe our applicant is present for our first case, yes? Okay. Well, that worked out well. Mr. Olgiati, will you please read our case?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Oh, just one moment. Case number 0315 SLU, Christopher C. Slack, Christopher's Complete Maintenance, 42489 Irwin Drive, Harrison Township, Michigan, 48045. Outdoor storage for trucks and trailers used for landscaping and cement business, and temporary tarp system installed for supplies. Tabled from March, April, and May meetings, 2015.
And June.
And June, I'm sorry.
And June. We have before us a new set of plans that we requested. We also have a letter from our planner indicating, and I just want to, before I read all this, I want to make sure that you have a copy of this.
Yeah.
Okay? So just for the record, there are 6 items mentioned. Paving is required for parking and storage areas. Per our zoning ordinance, section 1331B1, any such use must be completely enclosed with screening in accordance with the requirements of section 3.20. No screening details are shown on the plan. The applicant states landscaping materials will be stored in the outdoor storage area. One of the stated materials is stone. Per zoning ordinance section 1331B4C, storage of loose materials is prohibited outdoors. Storage of loose minerals such as stone or soil shall be in a storage bin. A 5-foot sidewalk is required. A dumpster and enclosure meeting the zoning ordinance standard is required. The landscaping on the plan does not meet the requirement of the zoning ordinance. It is our planner's recommendation, based on the site plan not meeting the requirements of our zoning ordinance. They recommended denial to the applicant for Christopher's Complete Maintenance. Did you want to share some information?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a 5-foot sidewalk, and it's on the site plan I'm looking at. I don't know, if maybe they missed it. Actually, I probably should back up and start with number 1 of their.
Yeah, actually, could you let us know who you are, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's start there.
I'm the building owner, and these Christopher's Complete Maintenance is a tenant. I'm just here trying to help them. I think they're doing what they should be doing to hopefully get compliant.
And what's your name, please?
My name is Steve Jenkins.
Steve Jennings?
Jenkins, Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
And they were just asking me for help. I said, I'll come and talk to them, and hopefully we can get on the same page. And
Okay, so the first item is, or you want to address item number 4, the 5-foot sidewalk is required, and you're saying that there is a 5-foot sidewalk on the plan.
Can I approach?
You may. Yeah, that's an existing concrete sidewalk, right. Okay, the ordinance calls for, and the reason that they're mentioning it is the ordinance calls for a sidewalk actually on Irwin Road.
On Irwin Road?
Yeah, in front of the property, right.
Nobody else is.
I know, and that's, and we can address that.
Okay.
We can address that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep,
I thought that can't be what they do.
we hear that a lot.
Okay. There's not a sidewalk anywhere over there. That would be like a waste of sidewalk.
It's part of our new ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so paving is required for the parking and the storage areas, and you have gravel.
Yeah, they did a nice job with the gravel too, but obviously they didn't do concrete. And then I was a little confused with the screening. They want this bin,
Well,
it's actually a bin.
And in fact, if I can refer to our outdoor storage section, I think he mentions it here, 1331. It clearly talks about the screening requirements. Here we go. Outdoor storage, screening requirements. Any such use must be completely enclosed with screening in accordance with the requirement of section 3.20, subsection 2 below. 3.20 tells us, excuse me. That can't be right. That's gasoline and self-service stations. What does 3.20 say in your new book? I believe it's general storage is what it wants to refer to. Environmental conditions for, general storage. It's, yeah, see, it's 3.09 in the, it's 3.09 in the old book.
Yeah, choosing.
I'm sorry?
Using the,
You're using the brand new book? You're using the old book? Really? My 3.20 shows gasoline self-service stations.
Versions of this.
13.3.1 is the special land use section for the outdoor storage.
Correct.
And then refers in screening requirements of 13.3.1B1, requirements of section 3.2.
Screening requirements, correct. In accordance with requirements of section 3.20 and subsection 2 below. Minimum setbacks. Storage of loose minerals including soil, stone, sand, gravel, coal, cinders, and similar materials. Uses expressly prohibited under this section include that.
Can I speak for 1 second?
Yes, please.
I'm John Sarah. I'm Chris's partner in the business. I think they might be referring to when we gravelled the whole driveway from Irwin to the back, we actually had a little bit of stone left, and we had cement blocks. We just put the stone inside there, whatever leftover we had. I'm thinking maybe that's what he's referring to.
Is that the back section, is that the section in the very back spot?
Yeah.
Where you wanna, where you wanna do the actual, storage of the vehicles?
Correct. It's actually stored all the way in the back to the right of where the dumpster was, but we just stored it because it was excess. I mean, we could actually spread it out. It was just a place to put it.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
That comment was on there because it stated under site plan notes that landscape materials such as wood chips or stone will be stored in the storage area of the lot.
Thank you. It does say that in the site plan notes, yes. So, okay, so that's an issue. So that can't just be stored out openly. That must be undercover or screened.
Okay.
A dumpster and enclosure meeting the zoning ordinance standard is required. Well, you just heard us have a nice, healthy discussion about that this evening.
We got rid of the dumpster.
Isn't a dumpster required
Yeah, isn't that an issue?
They weren't using
for
it anyway.
a business? So you're not producing any,
Well, what little they're producing, the tenant in the front is who already has a dumpster there, they're sharing it.
so you're sharing the dumpster?
Correct.
It's a shared property, as I recall, right?
Yes,
correct.
Okay.
'Cause that's number 5 on our planner's
Yeah.
Letter.
Okay, and the landscape on the plan does not meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. So that section would have to be modified.
You looking, are they looking to get, like, just some landscaping in the front of the building?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe that when the applicant came in, they were supplied a copy of, Ms. Sabrina? That's accurate? The applicant was supplied a copy of the particular zoning ordinances for that, for their requirements?
Yes, for the
Okay.
application.
So Mr.
Okay.
Cieslak has
Has that? Okay,
a copy of all of the requirements.
okay, good.
So,
I'm guessing-
okay, so paving, that's a big issue. Item number 1, that is a big issue. The dumpster, the 5-foot sidewalk, that is something that's up to the planning commission to allow or not allow. We know that at this time, a lot of businesses that are coming up to speed on ordinance items, the sidewalk is always talked about and commented on, and in some cases, not enforced.
Okay. Well, we're, you know, they're here. I'm just here to try to help. They're here to look for some,
Okay, well,
Leniency and-
we'll bring it back to the board and have our discussion, and then we'll call on you if we have some questions.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks, yeah.
Okay, board members.
I'd like to just ask the planner a question after that discussion on number 5. We heard about the
Dumpster?
dumpster, the joint use. Is that satisfactory, or is there still an issue there?
Well, I'm not seeing a dumpster on the site plan anywhere. We would require to see a dumpster on the site plan and to show that it is accessible. It is required, and not seeing it, not saying that it's this, that they may not use it or may use it, but they may not always have the building, and it is required to have a dumpster.
Okay. Okay, so that's required. So it's 2
Can
items.
we ask them where the dumpster is, or
Yeah,
Yep, go ahead.
absolutely, yeah.
whereabouts is their dumpster at?
Their dumpster is where the front gate is, that gate that slides across,
Okay.
it's right behind that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not on the plan at all.
Because that's not the property we're talking about. We're talking about the back property. That's why they don't
This
have
is
all
the-
the,
Yeah,
this is the,
this is the front property.
Right.
But this runs all the way to Irwin Road, and
Right,
it's still
and
not shown.
that's, it's still not shown, and it
there's a-
should be.
Yeah, this is a whole nother building and everything. They just showed you what they,
Yeah,
Okay,
so the dumpster is
If-
right,
if it's
real close.
right in here. Here's the slide. So it's either here or it's here.
and I guess my
I would
question
think it
is,
would be
assuming
here,
that the
yeah.
dumpster is there,
Yeah.
is that acceptable under our zoning ordinance, is my question.
The fact that it's on the property, even though the property is a single parcel shared by 2 businesses.
Right. And that's a question, I guess, to the planner, would that be permissible?
I believe it would be, but we'd have to see it on the plan. We'd have to
Okay.
see where
Still
it's
needs to be on
located,
the
and that
plan.
it is accessible, and that it is actually on their parcel.
Got it. Okay. Anyone else?
I'm just kind of, excuse me, I'm just kind of baffled. This has been tabled for 4 months
I
now. It doesn't
know.
seem like we're making any progress, and I don't understand why. I mean, there's still, you've got a site plan, you've got blueprints, but we still have 5 or 6 things that we're hung up on right now, and I don't know who's working with you, or exactly who's giving you direction, or exactly what's going on, but from a business standpoint, I can understand you've got to be frustrated by now after this amount of time, but there's so many things that aren't correct about what's going on over there, just from looking at the plans, and I'm kind of baffled by where you guys are at right now, what you're planning on doing. I'd love to be able to help you guys get this thing done, but there's so much open stuff here that there's so much stuff to wrap your arms around still.
Yeah.
It seems like after being tabled for 4 months,
Well, and
we'd
we
be a
did
little closer,
verify,
yeah.
I made it perfectly clear at the last meeting. In fact, I asked Sabrina if the applicant again had been supplied a copy of all of our zoning ordinance, and that, I know that's your regular rule, that's your protocol. So, and the applicant at that time agreed that he did have it, and shared his frustration with his then architect, and so on. So certainly there have been some missteps and some frustrations, but I think I also have to say that some fault does lie on the actual applicant, because all of the information was provided at some form, at some time. All the information is at hand, and all of that information should have been supplied to the architect.
Why do they require the paving for storage vehicles and stuff?
To help maintain the environmental, so that if there's any leakage of oils or gasolines or anything like that, it doesn't get into
It's
the.
all gonna run off. It's all gonna run off.
But it doesn't leak into the, I mean, you may say that it may go down a drain somewhere, but the zoning ordinance calls
It's gonna
for,
go on the gravel.
calls for that to be paved.
question. Certainly respecting that it's been tabled a number of times. Right now, I do not recall, did we ever close the public hearing?
Did we ever open the public hearing?
Yeah, maybe that's even the fundamental question.
I was gonna ask that same question.
No, I think we did open it, and I think we did close it, the very first night. Or the second, the month later after they first came to us, we closed it, as I recall.
Because in our minutes from June 18th,
I don't think it was ever closed.
there's reference.
You don't think it was ever closed?
Yeah,
No,
Madam
because you
Chair.
kept
Yes,
tabling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been my guess, is what we were doing.
In our
You have the minutes.
minutes, we have the motion by Member Tominello, and it refers to postpone the public hearing. Now, that's a little vague, but I'm not seeing anything that shows.
Postpone the closure or postpone the hearing in general?
Well, there would have been a motion to close.
Madam Chair, I have on March 19th notes, it said, public hearing was opened, and members of the public spoke, and then there was a motion to postpone and specifically to keep the public hearing open
Okay.
And then,
on March 19th.
and then for April?
April, I don't have notes about whether you closed the public hearing.
Okay.
I don't believe it's ever been closed because you kept tabling it, so you kept it open.
And we thought that we would keep it open and to allow the applicant time to
So everything
come into
was addressed
compliance
and, yeah.
with the ordinance?
And that would make sense to me, because I don't think we closed the public hearing before the public's had an
Without-
opportunity to speak on.
See a plan.
An existing current
Correct.
set of plans?
Correct.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then we have a current set of plans, they're still not up to par, they don't meet the requirements just yet. So I guess we really have two options. I hate to table it for a sixth time.
Can I say something before you?
Yeah, come on up to the podium, please.
I mean, I know this seems like a lot of stuff, but to us, we've actually done all of this. I mean, the paving that you guys suggested, you even suggested that it was kind of, to pave that whole area would be a lot of money. So that's why we stoned it all. The second one was the stone that we brought in, and we just stored in the back just to store it, you know what I mean?
Into
It was-
the outdoor landscaping
Yeah,
storage area.
yeah. The third one, what is it? Yeah. The second one, is that to do, oh, that's with the stone. The third
That's-
one, no, I'm sorry, what's the second one?
The
I'm-
second one is, right, the screening that's required, because you indicate on your plan that landscaping materials such as wood chips or stone will be stored in the storage area of the lot. So then, if that's the case, then you have to follow the ordinance for storing, loose materials, minerals, soil, stone, gravel, coal, cinders, and similar materials.
Madam Chair, I'd
Yes,
just like
sir.
to clarify on that.
Yes, please.
The storage area in general is supposed to be screened for outdoor storage under the special land use. The raw minerals are required to be in storage bins.
Okay.
So regardless, the screening is required even if there was none of the raw minerals, just to clarify on that.
So screening is required for the outdoor storage portion, not the items that are stored in a bin?
I'm saying that the screening is required in general, regardless of what they're storing, the
Okay,
screening is
got
required.
it.
For the salt bin that we have a dome that goes over the top, so that is covered. The stone that's in the yard was just, I mean, I can get rid of that in 5 minutes. It was just put in a spot, you know what I mean? It's not like we store it there all the time.
So landscaping materials such as wood chip or stone will be in the storage area of the lot, so you won't be storing any wood chips?
No. We just, the extra stone that we had for the driveway, we put in a little bin that was made there, but we don't need to do that. You know, we just had extra, so we can't get rid of that.
And as I recall, the original intent of this outdoor storage area was just for your vehicles only, correct?
Correct, and we have the salt dome as well.
Right.
That is covered. And in a bin, that is. in a
Right,
bin.
but it was for the vehicles, it was for your landscaping vehicles, correct?
As far as storage?
Yeah.
They're just parked, in the yard.
Yeah.
They're not covered. And then number 4, you know, the 5-foot walk we do have on the building, but not in the front. And in the front, I mean, there's a big gully. I don't even know what you do. The dumpster enclosure, I mean, we removed it because it was an issue, and, you know, we figured we could just use the other tenant's dumpster and solve that problem that way. If we had to put a dumpster back in and a pad, I mean, we would do it. And then the last thing, the landscaping, you know, in front of the building, you know, we just assume the gentleman renting the front unit, if he wants a landscape in front of his door, you know, he would do it.
Is that what they're requiring for him as a back tenant to beautify the front for the other tenant?
Well, I think the township looks at the property as a whole.
Right.
As a whole lot, not part and parcel to, you know, who all's,
And that would go to the building owner.
that would go, well, that would.
But it goes to us.
But it goes to, yeah, it goes to the applicant as well.
You know that, when I look at this here, where else in the township can he run his business, which it's a seasonal business, you got a little winter business and you got summer business. Where else can you store your equipment? This is out of sight, out of mind, in my aspect. I know we have
It's in the proper
rules-
location.
I know we have rules and regulations we gotta follow. It's just that, where else can he do, there's some people that run their businesses right out of their homes, but they've been doing it for so long, nobody complains. I think the location is beautiful for his type of business. How much you wanna,
Pin it down, to the ordinance, and that is what is up for discussion.
Unfortunately, whenever you go to improve your property, that opens up an entire new panacea of issues that you have to deal with.
see,
and-
I'm the new guy on the block, so I
Sure.
really don't know when you first came here what the main stumbling points were.
I have a question for the applicant. Has your architect been in front of us? Has she been in front of us? Or he's
No,
been in front of-
and
Why is that the case?
it's been wrong like 3 times, you know, I mean, you know, I guess it doesn't matter what we paid her, but I don't know nothing about that, you know what I mean? And
Because
it's
I
kind
see
of
that-
frustrating that it's 3rd time and the plan ain't right.
I see in the minutes that the architect had spoken to the planner.
Yeah,
And it,
so,
the planner instructed her that things weren't the way that they were supposed to be, obviously, but I know from previous experience standing up at that podium where you're at, it makes a big difference if you have somebody that can answer technical questions for you.
Sure.
I mean, that's a big help, believe me. You can work through a lot of issues that way.
so, you know, I know you said that it's baffling, and it is 5 times here or whatever, but we have addressed, you know, all this, and we put a lot of money into the stone, and we fixed the fence for $2,200, and the inside of the shop, we did everything we had to. So it seems like on this paper that we're screwy-looey, but we have addressed everything that the board has said.
Well, you're moving in the right direction, and maybe at a snail's pace, but you are moving in the right direction. Okay,
I don't think there's any issue that the applicant's trying, it's just, I just don't know if he's getting the proper direction
yeah.
about getting these things
And,
done.
and unfortunately, that's, I mean, I don't wanna sound cold and uncaring, but, the fact that the issues are at hand, they're not of this board. They still fall to the applicant.
That's all I got, I guess. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's lucky Mr. McDougal's not here.
Well, the way I see it, we still have a site plan that's
Right, not 100%
doesn't
correct.
give us what we need, so we
Exactly.
cannot approve
Right.
it the way it sits
We
before
can't,
us.
no.
It's been tabled,
5 times.
5 times already. There's
Well,
some.
4 times.
Well, 4 times, this
Right.
would be the 5th if it was.
Right.
There's some, I think some significant.
Significant pieces missing.
Pieces that are missing that, the paving is an issue. I mean,
The
that's
paving is an
required
issue,
by the
right.
ordinance, and that's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
change. You know, some of the other ones, maybe we could deal with, the 5-foot sidewalk, the dumpster, but there's some that, aren't, you know, that easy, they're clear violations. So I guess I see, that we don't have a site plan that we can, intelligently work off of.
Right.
That's not in compliance.
Right.
And there's some significant issues. So I tend to agree with the planner's recommendation that at this point, I'm just not comfortable continuing to, kick this can down the road.
We verified that the applicant at original, at the original application was supplied a copy of the requirements. the submission requirements and the ordinance requirements. And then we verified last month that the applicant did in fact have that documentation. And we mentioned that if they felt that they did not have what they thought they needed, to come back into you and get fresh copies. And did you have a visit from anyone? Did you have to supply any new documentation to Mr. Cieslak or anyone from the Christopher's Complete Landscaping?
They just dropped off the plan,
They just dropped the plan off and that was it? Okay.
and there were words online as well.
I'm sorry?
It's online as well, but
Okay. Thank you. That's right, and I believe we stated that last time as well, that the ordinance information is all online. It's available. Okay. Commissioners?
Well, somewhat to Mr. Blum's commentary, yes, it's been tabled a number of times, and I'm sitting here now reading last month's motion, which I think is somewhat compelling, which the applicant was present through a lot of this dialogue. Motion by member Tominelli, supported by member Batchor, to postpone the public hearing and table case 03-15-SLU till the July 16, 2015 meeting. Now, to me, the key words, to allow the applicant time to meet the site plan requirements per our ordinance and requirements. It was pretty clear.
Right, it was pretty
This
clear.
was our expectation
Right,
for today.
yeah.
And likewise, I also do share that I sense the applicant is working to try to get someplace. And I thought we have been extremely gracious in postponing and tabling, because we did feel, I certainly felt, that there was work, and it was somewhat moving in a positive direction, but it did seem, by way of dialogue last month, as well as the motion, that we were kind of saying, okay, we've been pretty lenient, and we now are saying, you know what the ordinance is, and our expectations. So when we come here today, I was expecting to see a letter that had not 6 items of
Open,
Open issues.
significant items. Right.
To Mike's point, if the one issue was a 5-foot sidewalk in front of the building, perhaps we could have thought through that, but there's still some substantial issues, I believe, here. So,
Well, if I could
you know,
just
that,
take, go ahead.
nope, continue, because
No, I
I
was
was
just
gonna
gonna-
go someplace.
Well, the applicant had a comment. I just wanted to make sure, Mr. Jenkins, if you could come up to the podium, I just want to make sure that, that your questions are answered and that you are aware of all of the requirements and their availability for the property as a whole.
Yeah, I'm getting there quickly. This is the first time I've kind of been involved in it, and they didn't quite throw it at me, but I knew they've been working on this. And I got this letter yesterday.
Okay.
I said, well, I'll go. I don't know if I can be of
Well,
much
I
help.
can tell you that, on our website, there is a section for ordinances, and you're able to get in there and take a look. But I think more specifically, Mr. Cieslak has the actual specifics that are required for this particular site plan based on the request. Am I accurate in stating that?
the application comes with the ordinances attached to it.
Okay, and so he would have that documentation, and you could certainly seek that from him. I suppose a second copy could be available from,
I'm sure I could get
Can
one.
you just go off this sheet?
he can go off that sheet for part of them, for part of those,
You
yes.
know, keep it
But-
simple.
Yeah,
Yep.
You know, I mean,
yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Erica, I'm their secretary.
Hi.
Regarding the, on the website, I did speak to Sabrina to ask if I could get that information offline, so I
Okay.
got it offline. I printed it. Mr. Cieslak, myself, and our architect met at the office, and I handed it to her
Okay,
with the last month's notes
okay.
and
And
told
this
her
is
that.
what you got back?
And this is what I got back.
Okay,
Okay.
So I just wanted it to be known that there is a huge effort to get
You're
it
trying.
passed. I'm trying. I've supplied her. I don't know anything about this. I just said, this is what the rules are, fix it. So,
okay, thank you.
I have a question for the applicant. That's, Erica, that's what you hire an architect to do, though. I mean,
Exactly.
And they need to start stepping up and helping you guys get through this whole situation.
and I also asked her if she could come to last
Yeah.
month's meeting and this month's, and she was busy, so.
Well, they need to find a new architect.
Right, but I just wanted it out that we are doing our, trying to get it.
I can sense your frustration.
I'm
I think
so-
we all can.
so frustrated.
Absolutely, but at the last meeting, the June 18th meeting, this exact issue was discussed, and
Very
it was
clearly.
specifically stated, you know, that any issues with the architect is the applicant's
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
We cannot be held responsible for that.
Okay, any other questions for the owner of the property or the applicant? Any other discussion?
Well, I'd like to start with a motion to close.
Public hearing?
The motion to close the public hearing for case number 03-15-SLU.
Is that, you want to stop there? I mean, is that?
I think
is
that's
that
all I
what
need
you're-
to say to close.
Okay, I mean,
Oh,
okay,
you're-
I didn't know if you
you're
were.
waiting for me to
right, I didn't know if you were going to continue, I'm sorry.
No, I
Okay.
think that's all I got to say, I just want to
So,
close it.
we have a motion to close, I apologize. We have a motion to close the public hearing for case number 03-15, special land use.
I'll support the motion.
Mr. Olgiati, Mr. Batcha. Roll call, please, Mr. Olgiati.
Yes, case 0315 SLU, closed public hearing, Member Basha?
Yes.
Member Olgiati, yes. Member Garvin?
Yes.
Member Bloom?
Yes.
Chairperson Murray?
No. Motion carries. Okay,
Now, what that leads us is, and you guys can certainly clarify, at this point, I believe protocol is, we don't vote till next meeting. True?
Oh, it's special land use approval, that's correct.
Unless we invoke.
That is your practice to
Right.
close the meeting.
I believe in the past, what we've done, I think it was referred to as a three-quarter rule, was, I think, a procedure that is applied here on
we've
this
set
board.
that in the past.
Right.
Yes, we've
That
done
if
that in the
three-quarters of the board felt we did not want to postpone to the next meeting, we could
You
vote
could
on that.
invoke that,
And then
right.
if we have a majority, we can then vote today,
Correct.
right?
Okay,
And three-quarter rule would be three-quarters of the people sitting here today.
correct,
Yes.
correct.
Well, then, that being said, I will make a motion to invoke the planning commission procedure to utilize the three-quarter rule relative to voting on a special land use hearing.
I'll support that.
Mr. Batcha, Mr. Bloom. Roll call, please, Mr. Olgiati.
To invoke, case 0315 SLU, you do invoke the three-quarter rule. Member Basha?
Yes.
Member Bloom?
Yes.
Member Garvin?
Yes.
Member Olgiati, yes. Member Murray?
Yes,
Chairperson Murray, I'm sorry.
yes. Okay, that carries. Okay. Now where do you want to go?
I will make a motion to deny case number 03-15-SLU. Based on the rationale that the site plan does not meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
I'll support.
Mr. Batcha, Mr. Bloom. Motion to deny case number 0315, special land use, because the application, the applicant, the site plan does not meet the requirements, the zoning ordinance requirements. Roll call, please, Mr.
Wait,
Olgiati.
excuse me,
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I would suggest that you might want to incorporate maybe the
Ah.
planner's letters or a little bit more
Okay.
work requirements, but, I mean,
Fair, yeah, yeah, understood. By way of clarification, are you suggesting we state the 6, or can we make
you
reference
can make
to the
reference-
letter?
Yes, say.
Just make reference to the letter dated
That's
blah, blah,
fine.
blah. Very well, okay. So I guess by way of protocol,
amend
I'm
your
just going to
motion?
amend my motion.
Right.
To include the planner's letter dated July 14th, 2015, with 6 items indicated.
Sounds fair.
Okay? And Mr. Bloom, do you amend your support?
Well, I think the motion is to deny based on the site plan not meeting the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And I would ask if you'd be willing to modify it to say, for the reasons set forth in the July 14, 2015 planning consultant's letter.
Yes, I'd accept that.
Incorporating those as
Stated the
some
way
basis.
Mr. Blum said it by saying,
more
for the
sense.
reasons as stated in the July 14th letter prepared by Community Planning and Management.
And that,
Yes.
that's just a suggestion if you're willing.
No,
to-
and I accept that
Okay.
that revision.
And I'll support that.
Okay. Amended motion by Mr. Batchel, amended support by Mr. Bloom. A discussion on the motion. So, you're saying we should deny completely outright, which tosses this whole effort out the door, and the applicant would then be forced to begin again with a new application, following all the rules and regulations, perhaps seeking more expert
Architect.
Yes,
certainly a
to your
choice.
point, Chairman, yes. Start all over, which would mean starting with a new architect. We certainly do respect the struggles, and it seems like that seems to be a common thread in a lot of this. So yes, start all over, get the new architect. I don't believe that we are suggesting, by way of this motion, that what's being done here is not a good place to do it. It's just not being done consistent with the ordinance, I believe is what all we're saying. So, yes, we're just saying start all over, get a better architect and just follow the ordinance, and then come back and let us then visit at that point in time is where at least my head's at relative to this motion.
And
I
then,
guess I'd like to make a comment on that. I'm not willing to make any recommendations with respect to which architect should be used.
True.
Whether the current architect is,
yes. Yes.
you know, sufficient, not
Right,
sufficient.
right.
I'm not making any,
Recommendation
recommendations or opinions
Yeah.
one way or the other.
And I'm not either.
On the
I'm
quality
not
of the
either.
architect.
I
What
think-
I'm saying is that it certainly is the applicant's choice to come back to us, if, they would like. But what I'm, thinking is that I'm not willing to continue with the application that's been before us and tabled so many times. They certainly can come back, but I would think, or hope that when they come back, that we have a site plan that we can work with a little bit better.
Based on past experience.
Right.
And so,
I do, I probably overstepped my bounds by recommending to find a new architect, so I do share that comment. That was probably improperly stated, but certainly, just start all over, following process and procedures the correct way. Whatever means you find to accomplish that is certainly acceptable.
I would agree.
and then does that also mean that when they apply for a new application, they then must pay again? And what is that payment? Do we know? Is it 250 or? I don't have my original.
In here somewhere. Roughly 1,000, 1,200. I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me.
It's a lot of money.
Somewhere around the $1,000 mark.
Okay.
Okay.
$1,140? Thank you.
I just found it, yep.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion? We generally don't let the applicant speak during the discussion on the motion, but I sense that you have a question.
No, you guys are answering them all.
Okay.
Thanks for your
Any other discussion on the motion? Mr. Olgiati?
Yes. Member Boccia?
Yes?
Member Bloom?
Yes.
Member Garvin?
Yes.
Member Olgiati? Yes. Chairperson Murray?
No. Unfortunately, you are denied. You have to start again.
Any chance they could get a break on that application fee, or is that not even an option?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
you'd have to take that up with the building officials.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Jenkins.
think they have a good sense of direction to get this accomplished, and.
Perhaps
I'm
we will see you again.
Yeah. You'll see them for sure. I'll probably come in and see if I can.
Good, that would be nice. Thank you.
very
Yeah,
much.
hopefully we'll see you again, but the timing of coming back to us is entirely in your hands now.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good evening.
Thank you, you
Yep.
too. Okay, unfinished business, none. No new business, no correspondence. Comments from the floor? Any comments from the planner?
I have nothing tonight, Madam Chair.
Okay. Our next meeting is August 20th, 2015. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Mr. Bloom, supported by
I'll support.
Mr. Olgiati, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, 8:15. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I think the landlord's gonna be helping out.
I hope so.
Just like on the air. You're using the old ordinance, right?
Yeah, I'm using the regular, yes, yeah.
Because you said, which one are you looking at? I'm
I
like,
was using
Yeah,
the new one.
well, he's using the new one that's not approved
I don't
yet.
have it.
Some of us,
I have,
we weren't relying on it.
yeah, I have the new one.
I didn't want to say that. I'm like, you're
Yeah.
not looking at the new one, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, for the neighbor, absolutely.
That's why I have.
Oh, okay.